call this meeting to order. So first item, adoption of the agenda, which we have a fairly full slate today with a number of reports to review and adopt.
So moved.
So everybody's had a chance to review. Any questions, any changes, proposals for new items? Okay, so motion to adopt.
I shall move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, reports. Oh, good minutes. Sorry, skipping right over. So, regular board meeting minutes from July 16th meeting.
Just a quick question. We talked about posting, and I apologize, I haven't looked on the website. Are they posted as draft form?
I believe I did get these on as draft, yes.
Okay.
The one comment I would make, and thank you for doing that, the one comment I would make is that it is posted as July 16th minutes, and perhaps even in the title we should put the word draft just to...
And I'll make sure they come off.
Yeah, but they did have a big draft watermark on them, so that was good.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so any corrections, questions about these? Thoughts, questions?
Looks good.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second. All in favor? Sign and pass off so I don't forget. Okay. So next item on the agenda is reports, starting with our acting administrator's report. So Janice is in attendance, so we can direct questions and thoughts to her. But Janice, maybe you want to take us through what you think are the salient points of this?
And I just do it in point form because I feel it's efficient.
Yes.
So yesterday, Gary Nason came up and we worked on gathering information for the FOI request, and we have narrowed it down. I've got a binder. I can complete that within the next couple of weeks, and he can call the applicant and get him that information. So the mutual aid agreement, we've got the final version. We've got it signed, and I sent it back to them. So we will get a copy once everyone's signed off on it. So in between when I sent you the packages to now, I did get some bylaws done. So I got the amendment to the water conservation and drought management done. And that's in here, so we'll see it. Bylaw 282, the amendment to water tolls and other charges amendments done. The amendment to the election policy is done. Point 6, collections update. We sent out 55 letters. They were issued August 4th. And there's a 3-week window on that. You issue the next letter 3 weeks later. It has triggered people to come in and pay and make contact. So I gave you a summary of what is current versus delinquent, and then the total owing. Get that?
Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah. Would you mind reading those numbers out loud for the record, just for the record?
Okay, so for the utility billing, the current amount owing is $57,600. $610.80. The delinquent is $36,490.43 for a total utility billing owing of $94,101.23.
So can you, for the record, also just define current? Does that mean 2020 billings?
No, that means this last billing period.
Okay, so just for the last 2 months.
Yes. So point 2 of 6 is the parcel tax. We will be issuing 35 delinquent letters, and they're being prepared now. We're hoping to get them out this week. It is definitely a different process than the utility billing. It's like one letter, and then we start talking about tax sale. So there's not a long process with utility billing. So I'm anticipating there's going to be a lot of payments. Now, the current owing right now is $118,761.49. After the end of August, that number will drop because the payments are due the end of August. And I do a PAP, so I get a lot of payments that way. But in arrears, which is 2019, the year 2019, $29,569.17, and delinquent, which is 2018 and older, is $24,982.61 for a total owing of $173,313.27.
Wow. So, can I just, for clarification, the parcel taxes, had we, as you just said, the process is a letter and bada bing, it goes to a tax sale. I'm wondering why that didn't happen for the 2018 delinquency and the 20...
Sorry?
I'm wondering why that next step was not taken with the 2018 delinquency of almost 25,000.
Well, and if you look, I mean, the last time this was done was probably 15, so it hasn't been done for a while.
Oh, I'm aware of that. I guess I'm wondering
why it happened?
Yeah.
I have no idea why it happened.
because this was brought up, the board brought this forward for the, I'm just really upset.
I think I was very surprised that it went as far back as it did. So
this is, I think, discussing the staff involvement in this, the process is worth speaking of, and I think you were speaking of the process as we are now doing it.
yes.
And I guess what I'd be interested in is moving forward, because we can't correct the past, would be how will we get a process or a procedure in place such that this does get executed regularly?
Well, I would think that after the first payment due date in March, if people haven't paid, they get a letter right then and there.
For property taxes, or parcel taxes, sorry.
Yes. And then in August, if people haven't paid their final payment in August, they will get a letter immediately.
So our policies specify a certain amount of this. Is there some need to put together an administrative procedure that can be followed as you just described? To say March this happens, August this happens, those sorts of things.
Well, previously,
Sorry, I directed a question there.
Sorry?
Just I was asking a question, can we put that, is there a need to put a procedure like that in place?
Yes, there may be a procedure that I haven't seen in the procedure manual. I have talked to other people who administer in improvement districts, and the second someone's late with anything, they get a letter immediately. Like they go out with the bills.
Okay. And I'm not trying to say I'm not in favor of it. In fact, I am in favor of it. I just want to make sure that we execute on it because we've had if you're correct, it says it hasn't happened since 2015, and there needs to be something formalized in it to make it happen. It's Trustee Culture.
previously on our parcel tax bill appeared a statement describing the penalties if you didn't pay on time. And with this new billing, that's all disappeared. That used to be printed right on the bill.
So,
And we can do that, we can put it on the bill.
Because there was confusion, you know, the parcel tax can be paid in 2 allotments. I used to submit 2 checks. I didn't this year because I submitted 1 check, I think. Anyway, that was not specified. There was no mention on the bill of how, like, when the payment is due and whether there's a penalty if you don't submit it by March. It's all was not clear.
And it's interesting because I do believe that it does state on the parcel tax bill that the first payment is due in March, the second payment is due in August. I believe that is
It
on.
does say that, but it doesn't say anything about a penalty if you don't.
okay, so let's not go right into the details here. I think what we're hearing is that there'd be some value to formalizing the collections process, including some details on the bill and that sort of stuff. So I don't think we're ready into the details of how you do that, but that would be the feedback from the board. Question also on collections. Do you have a sense of, or do you know the numbers of how much the delinquent has dropped for each of these 2 portions? Like you're saying there is collections happening on the water.
The last time we did collections was, I think, 19. And delinquent people usually wait right till the end, till they get the 24-hour cutoff. Like the really hardcore delinquent people. The other ones who have just like, they didn't get a bill, they didn't realize they didn't get a bill, they're the ones who are paying quickly. But the people who generally don't pay for quite some time, they wait until you're basically ready to issue the 24-hour cutoff.
So do I interpret that as there hasn't been significant collections made on the delinquent numbers yet? So we're still about where we were a couple months ago when we started this process, or do you think there's been some significant progress?
I think there's been significant progress because people have contacted us. So it's getting people to look at they're either missing a bill or, but the big number of people, they're going to wait.
All right, thank you.
So, point 7, we have scheduled the election for September 12th, if we need to have one. We're prepared to do a COVID-friendly election. And I've organized someone to live stream the AGM. The AGM is on the 10th. So I've got someone organized to live stream the AGM. We could have an option for overflow if we need to. And because it's live streamed, they can get it on their own computers if they can't come. Because if we're going to do it in here, assuming nothing changes with COVID, it will be reserved seating. And we won't know how many are coming in, and we will cut the numbers off.
Do you know how many we can fit in here?
I've been bugging in to try to help me with that.
I don't have the number with me, but I got the square footage from Darcy just to do a very quick calculation. I think it was 3,190 square feet or something in here. Yeah. And then, if you go like 32 square feet per person or something like that, and you divide it works out to about 90 people, but that's not realistic. That's 6 feet on every space of the floor, so that's not. And the maximum right now is 50 for gatherings, which the way the numbers are going probably may change. May not. Things might calm down a bit, but I think if you work within that 50 zone and maybe a little bit less to allow for tables and presenters and stuff like that, maybe 40 people or something.
We're going to have probably 4 board members, 3 staff members, a videographer. There's 8 plus perhaps 3 candidates. 11.
you're really in that kind of 35 to 40 people zone. Yeah.
So we do need the live stream. Thank you.
So point 8, the water treatment plant conversion of the construction loan. I included all that information and it's paper clipped together. That is all the bank information that you will need to review. I know you had requested that I come up with a recommendation. I haven't had time to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we haven't had time to.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. So you've got all the information in there, so.
So I actually don't see that as an item on our agenda, I missed that.
Yeah. Oh, the modified code of conduct policy, still working on it, haven't gotten it done yet. So the financial statements, I've included the financial statements in the package, and I've been having some trouble matching the budgeted numbers with the actuals, so I'm working on it to try and get the actual line items to tie in so it makes sense. So I haven't had a chance to do that yet, so you're going to see your financial statements there, the actuals. We don't have a budgeted one in there yet. So that's what I'm aiming for this month. Oh, the office for the water treatment plant. We're still working on that. Danny has priced it out, but there could be a delay with the one we were talking about, so he's looking at other suitable facilities. So it's got a couple of lines on different offices. We did have the RD went up to finalize on the permit up there. That was yesterday.
So, what was that?
The building permit for the water treatment plant.
I'm uncertain what word.
You mean finalizing?
Like closing the permit?
Oh, closing the permit.
Yes.
It was kind of when we didn't have a
Sorry.
building permit.
Yeah, no, closing.
Closing, okay.
So one thing we have looked at doing up there, because we were gonna move a trailer up there temporarily, because it's quite critical that they get an office up there. They have to have a 30 amp service for a trailer. So they can put one more
breaker.
thank you, in the box. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna actually, because when they get the office, they're gonna have to run the power off the pole. So they're gonna actually run it down. If we have a trailer before we have a permanent facility, they'll have the 30 amp right there. It'll be in the right place. You're not paying for the electrician to do it more than once. Okay, the COVID safety plan. We've completed it in draft format and I just have to finalize it. So that'll be done by the end of August.
What approvals are needed of that? Is there anything the board needs to do? Do you need to go to Work Safe PC to have it approved, or is it just?
They have to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we posted an article which was prepared by the Public Works Department about the water treatment plant, and you've got it in this package. And it's up on the website, and it should answer most questions that people have about the water treatment plant and the chemicals in the process. So we're hoping that that helps get the information out there.
Okay. Any other questions for our administrator?
Just with regarding all the borrowing information, at the last meeting, there was some confusion about whether we had moved from the construction loan and actually locked ourselves in, so.
It has not been done.
Okay.
And in that package, there's the correspondence with Robert, who's with the RDC, and his discussion about where we are with it, and it's definitely not being converted.
Thank you, thank you.
So, any other questions, comments with respect to the acting administrator's report? Motion to adopt the report?
So moved.
Second?
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
together for you is I've got the financial statements, I've got them in detail, and I've got them in summary format, and, I don't know, you don't want me to go over line item.
Well, I think you've identified the important part of this, which is how are we doing versus the budget on which, because the budget is what set the totals, right?
Yeah.
So that's an important piece of work for us to see where we're at. I guess, do you have a sense of where are we at? We're 7 months through the year. These are July statements, right? The June statements, sorry. June. So we're halfway through.
We're halfway through the year. I mean, basically, I've got a net income, but I cannot compare it to the budget. I've compared the revenue side of it, but I'm trying to break down the line items of the budget to the actuals so it makes sense for the expenses.
So at that big level of revenue and bottom line, do you have a sense of where we're at, revenue versus budget, bottom line versus budget?
Not really. I don't know where the budget and revenue number came from. Cannot figure that out.
Well, it is what it is. I'm not sure, does it matter where it came from or?
Well, it's considerably higher than last year's budgeted number, so I don't know how it got to that.
Well, probably the increases for the water treatment plant. Yeah,
Tolls are higher this year.
the increase is 20% for the 15 and 30, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For the excessive use, and 15% for the normal biological.
Right, and seeing that we're in June, you're just coming into the overuse
Yeah.
period, so, yeah. I can give you a better answer at the next meeting.
Okay. So we need a motion then to accept the financial statements, or is it sort of moot saying we're waiting for further information on it? I guess we should accept them, they're presented, so motion to accept the financial statements as presented.
Second that.
All in favor? Okay. Next is the Union Bay Fire Rescue Fire Chief's report. You are on, sir.
First, I'd like to thank you for inviting me back into these meetings. I'm very happy to be here and represent our department. Very proud of our department, so I'd like to show that information personally, know it's good, as opposed to a paper copy every time.
We are happy to have you back.
Thank you. I'm not certain how, you guys have read these, I'm sure.
Read through it, right? So I guess what's the most important things for you, the things you really want to draw to our attention, things that need discussion?
Yeah. I think mainly, just to touch on our call volume, we're still down because of the COVID protocol. We're only responding to the most serious of FR calls, which is the echo calls, like the cardiac arrest, that kind of thing, like the life safety stuff. So other than that, vehicle fires and NBIs and stuff, which are usually pretty low for us anyways, that's why the call volume is down, but it's still there. We put last month, in July, we put 12, almost 13 hours on call, not including our training, of course. COVID practices, we're doing a little more face-to-face, we're getting our social distancing and that kind of stuff, kind of play it safe, using the areas that we can, like the community hall, fire hall, and the school ground, to maintain some distancing. I think everything else is kind of, the fire ratings and all that kind of stuff are pretty self-explanatory. I keep the burn control stuff and the fire rating and all that in the reports just because it's good to know, and I like people to know about the venting index. Like it might be a beautiful day out, but the venting index may not allow you to burn when you can burn. So I like that information out there. It's the vehicles I'd really like to speak to. As you know, the engine 25 is on its last 5 years. That was the one that just had a transmission issue that So I think it's really going to start, maintenance-wise, it's going to start affecting us. So I think we need to start thinking about the future. It gets kind of tricky when you try to balance a new engine and not having a new hull to put it into. So I think the dilemma we're having is we're at a point where we'll probably have to buy an engine, whether it's a used engine with some serviceability with time left on it, or it's a new engine that we can transfer to a new hull. But to get something in our old hull is going to be pretty tricky and meet the current standards. But to be honest with you, I don't believe that there'll be a new hull before that engine expires, and we can't wait till the last day to do that. So my suggestion is, like, we have 5 years to deal with it, is to strike some kind of a committee for that and start like what do you call the RFP or request for purchase or whatever.
Yeah.
Like start an RFP process, and I've been kind of gathering some information from other departments that have done that. I'm just starting to get that ball rolling, but I think if we can take that forward to the board, and maybe the board could come up with a committee idea. I think in here, I think I said something about that. Anyway, the engine 25 on its last 5 years, as you know, it's ULC covered, which allows it to protect our community under the insurance underwriter thing. After that, we won't have any ULC rating. Engine 24 is done this year. It's 30 years old, so it's our backup engine anyways. And we do pump testing every year. It just won't be certified. I mean, as long as it passes its test, at least it's usable. Yeah.
How many engines do we need to have certified in order to keep the ULC rated?
One certified engine will meet the requirement, but if your engine goes down and you have no backup, and like we did for that 3 days when the engine 25 went down,
Exactly.
So, I mean, we do have 24 as a backup, we do have mutual aid, but mutual aid doesn't want to respond to every single call we have. Like, we have to provide our own equipment. I mean, they're there in case of, emergency, right? But, so my suggestion for that committee, and of course this will be up to you guys, would be myself, Janice, a trustee, the deputy chief, depending if it starts to get too many, I don't know, maybe, and then 2 or 3 members of the public with some kind of relevant experience, because, I mean, just to have somebody sit and watch, I don't know if that's beneficial or not, but.
What relevant experience would you look for?
Well,
fire service, financial, what sort of things?
Well, if anybody's had any large purchase experience would be nice. Fire would be particularly nice. I know there are retired fire service people living in the community, that I was told, I don't know the guy myself, but when Mark was still here, he was talking to a chief from Vancouver, I think, that's retired here. So if it went out to the community, and somebody in the community that had experience wanted to participate, that would be awesome.
Biggest thing is to get somebody with procurement, knowledge and get the RFQ right. That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
Is understanding.
The ones I looked at really quick, they all seem to be pretty generic, like.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of experience with it either, so that would be nice to have somebody who does for sure.
Yeah.
Through the chair, Ian, on engine 24, to say it's come to the end of its life, it's still serviceable, but not certifiable.
That's right.
Is there a possibility of getting another engine that has more use on it? I'm not saying brand new engine, eventually that's going to happen one day, but to replace the one that is now decertified. Is there a way of getting another engine to replace that one that would be, you know, within means? And at the same time, be able to fit into the building?
Right. Yeah, all those questions are decent questions. I think the goal would be to replace 25, move 25, if we can do it within a certain number of years, and 25 still has some life left on it.
Right.
It can go to a secondary goal. To keep into 25 and then get like a newer 24, basically doing the same thing, right?
The reason I'm bringing that up is because the Cumberland building is a new fire hall. And I know the one fire truck that they had, they basically had to take the old fire hall building and modify it to get the truck in.
He actually modified the truck
Yeah,
to fit into the
truck
building.
and be able to fit.
Yeah,
And, you know, that's no easy feat.
no, it was,
But again, I don't know if they're going to be letting go of any of their equipment towards new equipment. And
I haven't had that conversation.
I think we should need to have a conversation with Mike
with Mike, yeah.
and just see if that's what they're planning. You know, it's just another thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Like put something that would fit into the hall that had
But had
10 years left on it,
That's right.
would be an option for sure. It's finding something that'll work. I mean, the reason we got the vehicles that we have now is because they would fit, basically. And, they had some life on them.
Exactly.
Comox has been getting rid of anything for a couple of years. And they're getting rid of the ladders, the next thing they're getting rid of, but it won't be for another year or two. The other department's not positive because everybody's pretty much getting new equipment.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of life Mike would have on his, but he'd probably use it as a second line. Again, anything that has any life left on it, he's gonna use, I'm sure.
Well, that's something I don't know. That's something that.
I can have that conversation
with
with
the fire
Mike.
chief. She might be able to find if there's
Let's,
anything available.
let's take this up the level to where we're saying, hey, we want a committee that will study this and look at these options and decide whether there's a used or a new purchase, but that committee has to be structured to do that.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be here is that perhaps we have you and Janice somewhere put together a recommended committee, which might mean going out in the community and with some newsletter type information to say we're looking for volunteers to be a part of the committee and be looking for the following kinds of experience, maybe even go on our website or something like that. However you want to do it would be good to get that process. So you could bring us a recommendation, and then at this meeting we could then assign or appoint a trustee who would join that committee and report back to the board from it. Trustee Culture.
We have a standing fire hall committee.
We have one.
Yeah, we have two committees, and the trustee appointed is decided like every year, so Ted, you must remember that.
Yeah, I do.
So we have an existing committee, it's been non-functional since, meaning it doesn't need to be, it exists. It has to have a trustee assigned to it. And then, as per, it just exists, the committee exists.
Would that committee be appropriate? I don't know who's on that. Would that be
Currently, no one's
appropriate?
on it, it's appointed each year upon elections.
So,
It's going to be.
I must be appointed representative.
okay.
Yeah.
And so the rest of that committee needs to be formed up with individuals that would be suitable for a large purchase decision. So I guess if we're going to populate that committee, we need recommendations as to who we're going to populate it with. Is that better expressed?
Yeah, which is no need for a new committee.
Yeah, the fire committee in the past was the chief to deputy. This is quite a while ago now, because it's been kind of non-functional for a while. It used to be the chief deputy, 2 firefighters, and then I think it was 2 board members. That's
Well,
at
one for sure, there
One
could be
GSG.
an alternate. Yeah.
Yeah,